If you're a leader in healthcare, you probably know the feeling of being on a hamster wheel, always chasing that next goal, that next promotion, thinking that's the thing that will finally make you happy. Well, you're definitely not alone. In our Culture Coalition discussions, this comes up all the time. So in this explainer, we're going to break down a really powerful framework from social scientist Arthur C. Brooks that can help you start building a more fulfilling life, right now, today. Just think about it for a second. Are you waiting? Waiting for that promotion to come through, for the last of those student loans to finally be paid off, or for that perfect, almost mythical work-life balance to just appear? If that sounds familiar, you might be caught in what we call the "I'll be happy when" trap. And it's so common, especially for those of us in really demanding careers. So where do we find a way out? Well, the answer comes from this incredible book, Build the Life You Want, by Harvard professor Arthur C. Brooks and, yes, Oprah Winfrey. And what's so great about it is that it brings together these powerful human stories with actual hard science, giving us a practical, data-driven roadmap to a happier life. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about the happiness trap and why so many of us get stuck. Then we'll completely redefine the goal. After that, we'll dive into what he calls the 3 macronutrients of happiness. Then we'll get practical with how to manage your inner world. And finally, we'll touch on the key pillars of a truly fulfilling life. Okay, first things first, we have to shatter the biggest myth about happiness. See, most of us have been taught to think about it in a way that's, well, just plain wrong. And that's exactly why it feels so out of reach for so many incredibly successful people. The book uses this great metaphor. It calls this flawed idea Blisstown. We treat happiness like it's a real place on a map. We think if we just get the right job, make the right amount of money, live in the right house, boom, we'll arrive in Blisstown and everything will be perfect forever. But here's the problem, and it's a big one. Blisstown isn't real. It's a mirage. No one actually lives there. Chasing it is like being on a treadmill. You're working hard, but you're not actually going anywhere. And for leaders in high-stress fields like healthcare, that is just a recipe for burnout. So if Blisstown is off the map, where are we supposed to go? And the answer is nowhere specific. The whole point is to change our mindset completely. It's not about the destination, it's about the direction you're heading. This right here shows the huge shift. Look at the old goals. Happiness is a feeling. Avoid unhappiness, get to a destination. The new goals are so much more empowering. Happiness is something you build, not something you find. Unhappiness, it's actually part of the recipe. And it's about the journey, the direction you're traveling in. So if we're going to build a happier life, what are the building blocks? Brooks gives us this fantastic metaphor that I think is going to click for every healthcare professional out there. He says to think of happiness like a diet made up of 3 essential macronutrients. All right, let's break down these 3 key ingredients, because learning how to balance them is really the secret to a life that feels deeply fulfilling, not just at work, but everywhere else too. And here they are: enjoyment, satisfaction, and purpose. Now, what's so important here is that they're all equally important. This is not a pick and choose menu. You can't just load up on one and ignore the others. A truly healthy, happy life needs a balanced portfolio of all 3. Let's start with enjoyment. And it is critical to understand that enjoyment is not the same thing as pleasure. Pleasure is passive. It's that quick, easy hit of dopamine. Mindlessly scrolling on your phone or eating a snack. But enjoyment is deeper. It's uniquely human. It's pleasure, plus a couple of other key things. Here's the actual formula for enjoyment. You take a pleasurable experience, you add communion, which just means sharing it with other people, and you add consciousness, which means you're actually present and aware of what's happening. Think about it. Grabbing a slice of pizza on your way home, that's pleasure. But a pizza night with your family, with everyone laughing and talking, that's enjoyment. Okay, the second macronutrient is satisfaction. And this one is a bit of a mind bender. We spend our lives trying to avoid struggle and pain, right? But the book argues that real, lasting satisfaction only comes from earned success. It's that feeling you get after you've worked really, really hard for something. And finally, we have purpose. This is your why. It's the reason you get out of bed in the morning, even on the hard days. And for anyone in healthcare, this is basically your superpower. You don't find your purpose in the easy, routine stuff. You find it when you're solving the tough problems, in those moments where you know you're making a real difference. So if you look at all 3 of these together, you see a pattern, right? Enjoyment takes effort. Satisfaction takes struggle. Purpose means facing difficulty. So here's the big, powerful takeaway. Unhappiness, struggle, difficulty, these things aren't the enemy. They're not obstacles to happiness. They're actually the raw materials you need to build it. So we have the ingredients now, but how do we actually use them? How do we become the chef of our own happy life? Well, the key is learning how to manage our own inner world, our thoughts and our emotions. And this is where the skill of metacognition comes in. It just means thinking about your thinking. The book gives us this amazing metaphor. It's time to stop being a victim of your emotions and start being the CEO of your own life. Metacognition is all about making that shift. It's the ability to step back and observe your own feelings without getting swept away by them. You're not trying to ignore them or push them down. You're just looking at them as data, which allows you to make much smarter, more strategic decisions. And there's real brain science behind this. Your emotional brain, let's call it the lizard brain, is incredibly fast. It reacts in less than a tenth of a second. But your logical brain, the CEO, is powerful, but it's slow. It needs time to boot up. So when something stressful happens, your lizard brain hijacks the system. Your job, as the CEO, is to create a time gap. Just pause, count to 10, take a breath. Give your logical brain a chance to catch up and get in the driver's seat. Now, when you get good at managing your inner world, you can start building the external pillars of a happy life. The book talks about 4 of them: your family, your faith or life philosophy, meaningful work, and friendship. And the book's take on friendship is so interesting and so important for busy, driven people. Okay, I know what you're thinking. That sounds awful, right? Like the meanest thing you could ever say to someone. But stick with me, because this quote actually holds the secret to the kind of deep friendships that can get you through anything. See, when you tell a friend they're useless to you, what you're really saying is, our friendship isn't a transaction. I don't love you for what you can do for my career or the connections you have. I love you for you. It's a relationship without a deal. And having those real, non-transactional bonds is absolutely vital for your well-being. So let's end with this thought. Your life is the most important enterprise you will ever run. It's your greatest project. You now have the blueprint and you know the key ingredients. The only question left is, what are you going to build starting today?